Sorry for the delay there. This is going to be Scan versus Bonyth in the finals. Fighting Spirit going to be game number 1. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner, our yellow Protoss player. It is Bonyth.
Here in the bottom right, we have the purple Terran Scan.
This is going to be Poland versus Korea.
Yeah, it's the Battle of Titans for sure. I mean, both these players are amongst the top of the amateur Brood War level.
This is, I mean, like, ASL is literally right above where Scan's level is, because Scan has almost gotten into the ASL before, and he's, like, gotten close to qualifying. So this is just barely just sub-tier ASL level games at this point.
Yeah, the gap between Korean pros and foreigners is probably smaller than it's ever been.
Yeah.
It still exists, but I think certainly most of the players that show up for Have At You can take games, at least individual games, off of a lot of pros.
And that's actually what was really cool. I remember back when I used to start casting StarCraft 2, Playhem used to have a whole bunch of Korean players join up under different handles. And you would find out, like, afterwards that you had just casted, like, 2 top-tier Code S level GSL players. Just because it was just happened to be, like, an online tournament that happened to be available to them. And I almost feel like this is kind of, like, almost the level of quality that we're getting out of these games so far. Is like, generally when you start off, like, these small little tournaments like this, you kind of just expect, alright, you know, we're not going to get the best people to show up. We're not going to get, you know, these god-tier level players, but we are getting really close to that.
Oh yeah, and I mean the games have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, as long as the 2 players are evenly matched, you can get good Brood War games. Like, if you watch a solid D versus D game, it can be very entertaining.
Exactly.
Perhaps for different reasons.
I remember I played a game back when I just was starting against another, like, it wasn't even D, we were like D minus players, and we had like this crazy almost hour-long TVP game go on, where it went to like carriers, back to gateway, it was a crazy game. But like everybody who was like watching it was like, that was one of the best games I think I've ever watched. Mainly because it was also like kind of like so many facepalm moments. But anyway, so nothing really too crazy coming out from either of these players. Scan's going for the immediate factory type build, so we're not going to be seeing the Rax double coming out from him. Meanwhile, Bonyth is going into pretty standard 1 gateway so far. Might be into a 2 gate.
Yeah, don't see. He opted not to go for the early zealot, and they're going to be cross position, so it's probably a good call. Did he send out a scout at all?
No.
That's sort of an interesting decision there.
Yeah, very interesting decision. That's why I was kind of thinking it was going to be more of a 2-gate kind of thing, so you can, you know, kind of get the range as well as the other gateway going on at the same time.
Well, I know in Protoss vs. Terran, you don't have to be afraid of a lot of things. Like, other than a BBS, there's nothing you absolutely have to scout for.
Well, it does help out if you're looking to see if they're going for like an FD push or something.
Right, well, scouting is always beneficial. But in terms of if you don't scout this, you die. There's not a lot you have to do early. But he is opting to immediately do the 21X regardless. And Scan's SCV is going to be able to see it. So that's actually enormous.
It's actually not as big as you'd think. 21 Nexus is actually a really cool build. I used to talk to, or I still talk to, Supernova Maniac about these types of things. And actually 21 Nexus, if you do it quite right, and you see your opponent going for an FD push, by the time the FD push would hit is by the time you have range and 4 Dragoons. And what's so substantial about that is if you have 4 Dragoons, you actually one-shot Marines. And so you can one-shot all the Marines before they actually get to your base, and then it kind of stops most FD pushes depending on micro.
Well, we don't have an FD, we have a D.
Oh, you're right!
It's very possible that Scan is going to do serious damage with this. Now, they are cross-position, so there's enough time that Bonyth can delay and get some pot shots on Marines. But this is a little bit dangerous for a 21X.
Yeah, this is a lot more dangerous. You're quite right. Oh, and especially if he loses this Dragoon. This could be huge here, Paisan. Oh, losing this Dragoon is a massive moment right here. Because now this means that those Dragoons can't one-salvo those Marines.
Yeah. Yeah, losing that first goon is a big deal. And I mean, he was just trying to scout and figure out which base scan was at that point.
Yeah.
So just this tiny lapse in control, and he's in a very scary position. There's 3 tanks out on this push.
Yeah, and you know what was really smart was that Scan kind of hid the rest of the factory units. If you saw a second tank, you'd be like, okay, this is definitely a 2 factory type build. Instead, he actually kind of thinks it's more like it's like an FD push or something like that. So you can see he's being very defensive with his Dragoons, because he needs that 4th Dragoon out there at least in order to start being out on the map. So here's the 4th and 5th. But this is a very scary... Oh, especially if he goes for this expansion. No, Bonyth, don't do it.
Yeah, fast 3rd right now is probably not a good call. He'll find out pretty soon, though, at what's coming at him. He's got the benefit of the cross position, so 2 more Dragoons are about to pop. It should be enough to stay alive, but it's going to require really good control.
Yeah, it's going to require perfect control, and definitely not walking right on into it, but does nab a tank for his troubles.
Yeah, I think sniping that 1 tank is not a bad trade in that situation. He needs to be careful with these mines, though. They're the real nice snipe on that mine.
Really
and he's able to push these back, going for another tank snipe, but that's not going to work out. These Marines are doing a decent amount of damage because they've been staying alive for so long. And now he's got mines right up against his Nexus. This is a really scary position.
Yeah, it is, especially if siege mode finishes up anytime soon. Okay, so it doesn't look like he's actually going for siege mode right behind this. Instead, just going to stay with mines and vulture speed. But still, at this point, he's basically going to forfeit this Nexus.
Yeah, I don't think he's planning to siege up the ramp. I think he just wants to take the Nexus and get out.
Yep.
With the mines there, it's going to be a long time before Bonyth can even retake that.
And not moving out, actually, just staying right there. Just wants to lock that Protoss in. You can't really push up this ramp here, because if you do, you're going to be going up against the defender's advantage of, you know, uphill fights. And you really kind of lose really quickly to that. Finally, the Observer is out here, so he is going to be able to snipe out these mines.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to funnel down that ramp when the Terran army is right there. So Scan is going to be able to have his own expansion completely unharassed, and he's building a little missile turret to keep this Observer away. That's a cute little move.
Very cute move, especially because he has so many Marines left as well, that these Marines, even if the turret can't reach it because of detection, oh, he's going for the SCV, does nab it. That's just as cute.
Yeah, solid control from both players, but Scan's continuing to rally into this position, and Bonyth's going to have to force his way down this ramp versus a pretty large army with mines behind. Unless he goes for just shuttling his army outside, he's going to be stuck in his base for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He does have 2 Zealots in a shuttle and a Reaver on the way, so he may just go for harass in Scan's base.
Or bust.
But it's a 1 base versus 2 at the moment, although he's started a sneaky expo at the 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah, I like noticed that cute little guy over there as well. And you know, we were just mentioning expand where your opponent's not gonna. Oh, does the Observer get nabbed? Oh, that's huge. Not gonna be able to scout out these mines anymore now.
Yeah, so if he was gonna bust, he's gonna have to at least wait for that other Observer. Meanwhile, more and more mines getting placed, a bunker getting placed down because he still has 3 Marines left from the push. He did manage to siege up that position, so I see the only way Bonyth's getting out of this is if he just ferries units down to the low ground.
But he showed the shuttle.
Yeah, he's just going straight to it, doesn't care that Scan might know about it, which seems like a kind of strange strategy.
Especially because there are mines. Mines, siege tanks, and everything.
It's going to be really hard to get anything done. He can do some really good Reaver control and maybe get a couple of Bomber Scarabs, but it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I don't really see very many openings for this double Zealot Reaver here. But meanwhile, I mean, Bonyth is completely locked down into his main base. Just barely starting to get that 3 o'clock base, and Scan already has a fully saturated natural.
Yeah, the problem with a sneaky expansion like this is not only that if he sees it, if Scan sees it, he's just going to kill it immediately, but he can't transfer any probes.
Oh, he's going for it.
He's going to go for a break. Oh, he drops the Reaver right on top of a mine, and it gets killed by the Marines. So the Reaver is dead. There's only a few goons left. Mine hit on one of them, and he manages to break, but he took some pretty heavy losses.
Yeah. He does have another Reaver right behind this, though. So he might be able to still get a little bit of work done here. But now Scan has to be a little bit more defensive and pull all these siege tanks out to the front. Because Bonyth has broken through. But wow, what a situation to be in for both these players.
So he's going to be able to take his natural, and Scan is actually going to see this expansion. He's going to kill all the probes here, no problem, and that's probably going to be going down in the next minute or so. There's no way for Bonyth to defend that.
But in doing so, he pulls all of his resources over to there. So if this shuttle actually gets back in here, there's nothing defending this now.
Yeah, there could be a pretty major Reaver shot in the main. That turret is nicely placed, so you can't just hang the shuttle out near the TC, but if he goes fully committed to it, he can get quite a few SCV kills.
And he also didn't kill all the probes in this base.
Yeah, I think the probes might have killed the Vulture. I don't know what happened.
Oh no! Walks their shuttle right in front of the missile turret and it goes down.
Oh, that's 2 games with pretty uncharacteristic Reaver control.
Yeah.
But somehow this base has not gotten killed yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Bonyth is fully expected it to happen. He stopped producing probes. But I guess Scan is a little worried that if he commits too much there, he'll actually get attacked. Or
Scan is just saying, you know what, fine, take that base. I'm just going to keep expanding and just go into my standard mode. He's got 6 factories behind this. This is basically saying I'm going to go into a 2-base push.
Yeah.
And he wants to hit it before the base really starts to get underway. It looks finally now he's going to go take that 3 o'clock base out. This is just such a weird game so far, Paisan.
Yeah, it's kind of all over. This is sort of a weird position for all of the tanks to be up here. He doesn't have that much to defend back at home, but Bonyth's army is not that big. So I don't think there's actually anything for him to really be worried about. I'm just surprised that he waited this long and then moved everything anyway.
Oh no, the runaway probes are going to get caught as well. So Bonyth is going to go straight back into the Reaver play yet again. Still has more shuttles coming out from behind all of this.
Yeah, I think it's a decent choice. He certainly can't just fight Scan's army straight up, but some Reaver harass can definitely put you back in the game if you get a good Scarab. And having the shuttle available for breaking a Terran position is pretty valuable.
Scan pushing out, this time with a pretty large army. As I was saying before, he has 6 factories behind all of this, so this is easily resupplied, very quickly resupplied, I should say. A lot of Goliaths with this army as well, in order to kind of snipe out any type of observers or shuttle play.
Yeah, M10 is just about to finish. Bonyth going full on this, but there's not a lot here. Once those tanks are sieged up, his army's just going to melt.
Ooh, loses the shuttle. The Reaver does get out in time, though. If it stays alive, if it gets a good enough amount of shots on these siege tanks, it only takes, I think, 2 or 3 shots in order to take out a siege tank with a Scarab, but that's just GG. Bonyth, a really rough game number 1. I really hope this doesn't spell the name of the game for the rest of this series.
I mean, that was just a really hard position.
Yeah.
You know, the builds were sort of countered. Just the control with Bonyth's first Dragoon was really unfortunate. And once you're in that position and you lose your natural like that, it's really hard to come back.
Yeah. Very difficult. All right, we're going to get on into game number 2 here between these 2 players. Let's see. Wrong button. Oh, I love old BattleNet noises. 1.18 takes away
the chunk.
The chunk.
I do like the chunk.
I think everybody loves the chunk noise.
Don't fix what ain't broke, Blizzard. So Bonyth opted to go for Circuit Breaker.
Yeah, a little bit more of a wide open map is Circuit Breaker. Allows you to kind of be a little bit more defensive depending on the positions of where Terran is versus where Protoss is. Typically lends itself to be a lot better of a map, actually, I find, for TVP, excuse me. But let's get into this match. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner, it is our red Terran player. Up a game against his opponent in the finals, this best of 3. It is Scam.
In the bottom right, the teal Protoss Bonyth. cross positions again. So if Scan opts for aggression early game, that'll be to Bonyth's advantage. But it worked out for him last time.
It did really well, actually.
This is a pretty fast probe. It's going from not probe scouting at all to throwing a probe immediately. Is this a 2-gate?
It could be. Middle of the map 2-gate?
That's what it looks like.
I tell you, Python.
These Protoss players, man.
I was about to say.
They love their 2-gate.
Game 2 against any Protoss player. I guess I'm just going to assume it's always going to be a 2-gate in the middle of the map.
Oh, they pick Circuit Breaker? Definitely 2-gate.
Kids these days. No, it's going to be single gate, it looks like.
It might be a 1-gate.
I hate Protoss.
And well, Scan's control is top notch.
Oh, yeah.
So we've seen him deal with Zealot aggression before.
Oh, by the way, I think you were right. I always thought it was... I was backwards on it. If it's like... If the supply depot's to the right... if it's to the left, Zealots can get through it. I forgot.
I thought it was tighter on the other side. I thought there's one side where Marines can go and Zealots can't, and then there's one side where no one can go.
No, I don't think that's actually true. Or maybe it depends on what block you put it against the barracks, too. Maybe I'm incorrect here. It's always very difficult to remember how all those configurations work, and let me tell you...
It is.
You know what I'm really good at? It's figuring out the wrong way.
Well, let me tell you...
Oh, the Zealot's coming! Let me run my Marine between my supply depot and my barracks! Oh, I can't.
Well, whatever Scan does in this situation is what you should do.
Is correct, yes. I know this now. I never doubted that Scan was doing it correctly. I was just...
So this building placement is actually very interesting. So he has the barracks close to the ramp. And then I guess he kind of sniffed out the Zealot aggression based on the probe.
No, I think he just mostly...
The probe.
He just generally does this.
Oh, maybe.
I think he's done it like most games on Circuit Breaker.
But it's nice, it lets you control your ramp. Ooh. Oh, wow. He actually loses the Marine.
Very quickly.
That is uncharacteristic.
I would actually love to see this probe go block the supply depot channel over there as well. But wow, losing 2 SCVs to this as well.
Yeah, and a second Zealot is here, and the first Zealot has not been taken care of, just barely going to go down.
This is a lot of kills. He might actually get
on top of this Marine.
Oh, he's got to make sure this other Zealot doesn't go down. Okay, so it does, but still, this other Zealot is now completely free.
Yeah,
0 damage on
SCV
it.
Kills. And this, oh wow, that micro is not characteristic. This factory's been delayed so much, so many SCVs going down. This damage is
another Zealot coming in! This might be a victim of lag here. I feel like these Marines would be moving back a lot quicker.
You know, it could be lag, it could be him feeling under the weather,
going for the pincer.
Whatever it is, these Zealots are absolutely dominating. If both of these Marines go down, that's even, barely survives. But that's a 14 SCV count of the factory just finishing, getting the add-on now. I'm actually kind of surprised he's not getting a Vulture, but the Zealot aggression has stopped. Dragoon is coming out, so it's the right call.
Dragoon's not even coming out here, Python. Dragoon is out. Against a whole bunch of really weak Marines as well.
Yeah, they do have the high ground, but they're not going to be able to do too much. And the machine shop is just finishing. So this goon is trading himself for, or he's not even going to trade himself, he's going to run away, regen his shields. This control by Bonyth might be too much. Scan is barely holding on, the tank is coming, but the second goon is almost here, and there's only 2 Marines.
Yeah, if this first Dragoon kind of goes forward and starts taking a lot of that damage, this could be another couple of dead Marines.
Yeah, and if there's only 1 tank versus 2 goons with a third on the way, that could actually be GG.
Oof.
Alright, the tank is out and the Marines have stayed alive long enough to support it, so Scan will live, but his SCVs took a significant hit there. Bonyth's actually able to get his expansion up and going, and he's going to basically contain Scan for a little bit. This is 3 goons versus 1 tank and 3 Marines.
Yeah, this is at this point. This is pretty much saying Scan's going to have to just kind of take a passive for a really long time. It's really hard to break larger goon numbers with a very small amount of Terran forces.
Yeah, there's no CC even on the way in the main. I mean, Scan is way behind where he wants to be.
Has to be a little bit more protective of that one weak Dragoon. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, he's going for the mines.
Gonna go for the trigger of the mine. Oh, just barely gets it. So if you don't know, that little like back and forth maneuver that the Dragoons do is like the mating dance between it and the mine. And
let me show you the dance of my people.
Let me show you the dance of my people. And what it does is it entices the male mine to come to the female Dragoons. And the female Dragoons just kill it. But yeah, so like that, by doing that little dance, you can trigger the mine to come up, and then you can just hit patrol, and then patrol towards the mine, and you can actually kill it before it actually does any damage.
Yeah, because they need to step back, otherwise they won't fire in time, because the firing animation is so huge.
Yeah, huge.
Huge.
The best firing animation.
The big lead. Oh my god, running straight into a mine. You know, he has enough of an advantage that's not the biggest deal, but that's not what he wanted to see.
That's how you throw away the
CC. That's exactly right. Scouting the CC and the timing on that is actually pretty crucial, so he knows there's not some like one base, two factory all in. And he's actually just going to pull back on this. But he's got to like his position now. I mean, he's got his tech coming. He's got a Stargate on the way.
For scouts.
I'm not sure what his plan is for that exactly.
I'm telling you, it's scouts.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
It's not really scouts, like, but what if?
Fast third.
Yeah.
So he's going to be starting his third Nexus as Scan is just taking his natural expansion here.
Which is standard for TVP.
Well, you want to be a base ahead, but that's a little bit faster.
But you know the really big problem here for Scan is that 0 detection, 0 scouting ability, except for this one Vulture.
Yeah, Vulture taking a nice trajectory, but he's going to get shut down here.
Almost really lucky that Bonyth didn't go for DTs behind this, just because there's only a single mine in each choke point. Like, the DTs could just walk right through it.
Yeah, actually, DTs would have been game-ending, but it's hard to know that.
Yeah, but that's my point, is like, when you're in this situation, you almost have to make that decision of, do I play to the point that there's possibly DTs, or do I play to the point that I need macro?
Right. Yeah, I mean, having mines researched as the DTs are doing damage, if they get in, you can always produce a couple more Vultures and restabilize. So I'm sure someone like Scan probably thinks that that's sufficient defense. He does unpower that gateway, but he's a little hesitant to actually keep that army out there, with good reason, because Bonyth has quite a bit of goons at the moment. If he collapsed on, 4 or 5 tanks, it could be disastrous.
Someone in chat, actually, it's Jealous, aka Cash Me Outside, does make a really good note, is that, oh my god, it's two gate carrier. Is that he would have been able to denote that there's not going to be DTs based on how many Dragoons are out, and that's actually a really fair point. Is one of the things that Terrans always love to do, is to count how many Dragoons are there to make sure that there's not a count of DTs behind this. But
yeah, the carrier switch is pretty strong here. I mean, the Academy is just starting, so scans are a decent while away. Even if he knew about them, I don't think he has the resources to really do much and produce Goliath, so he'd be kind of stuck on the 2-base situation. He's trying to get his third now, but this is kind of a risky move to take this. The Bonyth is moving up to try to deny it, and there's not that much. He has a total of 8 siege tanks, and they're all sort of clumped away from that Nexus. So Bonyth can absolutely focus this down and cause it to at least lift and delay.
Yeah, you know what's really scary at this point is that on only 3 factories as well, without any type of Goliath range, like these carriers already are going to have +1 ranged weapons as well. So, like, these carriers are just going to be able to completely lock Scan down. I'm going to have to look out for those the ComSat scans from Scan. God, that's so difficult to say. I feel like I'm just repeating myself. Also, really fun fact, actually, if you didn't know already, is that it takes longer to build all the interceptors for a carrier than it does actually build a carrier.
It's true, yep.
It takes 100 seconds to build all the interceptors on fastest, and it takes only 80 seconds to build a carrier.
But the 2 carriers are out already. The scan is actually right on top of them, so scan saw it, but it might be too late. I mean, he can definitely stop the carriers from just destroying him by switching to Goliath now, but then what's he going to do about Bonyth's 4th and inevitable 5th base, you know?
Right. At this point, it's going to force Scan to start building a billion Goliaths, and because of that, it's going to just delay any type of 4th base. Especially if he starts going into mass missile turrets to try and, like, kind of hole up. Either way, he's going to give Bonyth all of the map control.
Yeah, so he's throwing down 3 extra factories now. He has secured them in only. And I assume it's going to be mostly Goliaths coming out at this point, but that means he's going to have to play the rest of the game with, like, 10 or so tanks.
Yeah.
A few more will be produced for sure, but as you said, he's not going to be able to secure that 4th very easily, and that's probably what he wanted to do on this map.
I mean, probably what you want to do on most maps, but this map it's just a given, so not getting what you're generally planning your entire game plan around is going to be really difficult to deal with. And you can already see this, it's just all these missile turrets going up here, but each of these are 100 minerals, and that's just, you know, each of those is just not a CC you're going to have. You can look at every 4 missile turrets as not a CC.
Yep, so we're at 4 carriers at the moment. So that's sort of the magic number. They can start dealing with those Goliaths pretty well if they're microed correctly. Although there aren't a lot of cliffs to abuse on this map, at least not if you're fighting out in the open. If you start going for the expansions and doing SCV damage, there certainly is. But it looks like Bonyth is gearing up to just try to crush the army that's coming out from Scan in the middle.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, is that you can see how Scan is taking this game is actually by avoiding most of those ridges and cliffs, because there's only a couple of them. You can see there's one right here in the middle of the maps, really between all the expansions and all the player positions. You can see how Scan's kind of like taking his army around that area as opposed to staying really close to it. Same with the natural base as well. So going into these positions so you can get the high ground, so you can get the advantage of where the carriers are, and really kind of devoid the carriers of being able to just kind of coast back and forth on those bridges.
Yeah, this is a good position that Scan has, but the carriers are here.
Carriers have arrived.
Carriers have arrived. There's also a shuttle with Zealots, so he's going to be able to bomb this position. I don't know if there's enough Goliaths really to deal with this. They're starting to go down now. More are going to be rallying soon, but it looks like Bonyth's going to be able to clear this out without taking much carrier damage at all.
Yeah, Scan just has to completely back up at this point. And that is the worst part, especially as Terran. Because of how long it takes for you to build your army, if you have to back up ever, like you're like tail between the legs, you have lost a lot more than just whatever units you actually lost us there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you don't want to just be giving initiatives here, the Protoss like this. He's doing a little bit of work with some vultures, but there's a cannon going up and a goon to support, so that harass is going to be limited. He's taking his 4th base now, but the carrier number continues to grow. We're at 5 carriers, 2 more on the way. Once that reaches some sort of critical mass, it's going to be very difficult to hold base.
6 carriers is like the most cost efficient. Because the amount of Goliaths you need to deal with 6 carriers outweighs the amount of food supply that carriers take for like 6 of them, I think. Some Protosters just like keep going, but some just stay on 6 and they'll just, you know, coast on 6 or 7. And by doing so, it really creates this like awesome situation for Protoss to just kind of be able to poke around the map with the carriers, as well as take really good engagements, and then refocus their army on things that'll take advantage of Goliath tank army, like Zealots.
Well, Bonyth is going full on attack mode here up this giant ramp. He's going full ground army plus carriers. Looks like that's not the greatest idea. There's quite a few tanks, so he's going to pull back. But there are some weaknesses that if Bonyth keeps poking around, he'll be able to find. I mean, that 4th is not very well defended. If he sends the carriers there, there's only 5 missile turrets. And even though Scan will be able to reinforce it quickly, the carriers can move around a lot faster around that position.
Not only that, but the carriers also have +2 air weapons as well, so they're doing a lot of damage at this point.
Yeah, and there's 7 carriers on the map at the moment.
Yeah.
So he's hit that mass that's really difficult to deal with. Scan's gonna try to fight, but over these bridges especially, those Goliaths can't really do that much to chase.
And this is just going to keep kind of Scan locked down for a really long time. Meanwhile, I mean, this is really kind of costing Bonyth upgrades, though. Right now, Bonyth has 0 upgrades on the ground army.
Yeah, it looks like he's going pretty full on carriers. He hasn't stopped production at all.
Oh, wow.
He's going to be maxed out pretty soon. He's keeping enough of a ground army to sort of stop any giant push from coming out. But, I mean, just look at that. Those 5 missile turrets did nothing. He's going straight for the refinery, which is kind of an interesting move, but that limits Scan to only 2 gas, so it's just really going to limit the Goliath production.
And I mean, I guess that's a really good call, because if you went for something like the command center, it's really hard to like whittle it down in that a little bit of amount of time. But the refinery definitely has a lot less health that you can actually do that to.
Yeah, and I mean, Goliaths are the thing he's concerned about right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Scan is trying to stay active on the map with some vultures. He did manage to take out 1 cannon, but there's 2 more to support on that 4th. Bonyth's taking his 5th base now. I'm a little surprised he didn't do that earlier, but at the moment he's got plenty of bank and he's maxed, so nothing else to do, I suppose.
Yeah, at this point, like, Bonyth can just start taking up like most of the map. 2,700 minerals right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't gone for another main yet, and just started producing gates, but I guess he's really full on carriers. I mean, most of his supply is caught up in them at the moment. He's up to 9 carriers on the map. I mean, these missile turrets are basically feather or paperweights.
Yeah. And, you know, as I said before, 100 mineral investments every time. Wow, he keeps going for those gas geysers.
Yeah, that's really awesome, actually. And Scan is maxed out, so he is starting to bank up some gas. But just limiting that gas intake is such a smart move, and then trading with the Goliaths for interceptors.
Because if you don't know, interceptors only cost 25 minerals, so every time you are able to take out a Goliath, which is 125 minerals and 50 gas, you kind of come out on top. Ooh, able to nab all these probes as they're making their migration over into the 5th base.
Yeah, that's a nice move, for sure. He needs to do moves like that, but now his 4th is under attack again. He remade quite a few missile turrets, but they're going down very quickly. They're killing interceptors, but the missile turrets are more expensive than interceptors, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose a lot of interceptors at this point, but because you are able to gain so much map control with this type of a build, you're going to have so many minerals flowing in anyway.
Yeah, Bonyth doesn't have to be efficient in a game like this.
He has to just bleed his opponent.
Yep.
So many vultures, though.
Scan is going to be mined out in the main shortly. His natural is going to be following close behind, so he's going to be stuck to 2 bases. Meanwhile, Bonyth is keeping map control by virtue of having these carriers, so he can expand again if he wants to.
Meanwhile, these carriers do have +3 weapons now, too.
Wow, that's a really fast +3. Yeah, they're doing a ton of damage.
With +1 armor for air on the way as well. So these are going to be...
Gets the refinery again.
That's such a cool move. I've never actually seen that before. Just kind of come in, snipe the refinery, and move back out again.
These Scan vultures are being incredibly active. They've killed a ton of probes. So Scan's doing a great job of doing harassment, even though he can't actually push out onto the map. I think that small group of vultures killed something like 20 probes.
Yeah, doing definitely probably more than 20 probes at this point. The last couple that I saw were there. Each of those, like, of the 12, those last 2 only had 4 kills each.
We're back at the 4th base. The carriers are going for the command center this time. Looks like the repair is in time, but there's so much damage. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep it up.
Oh, it's so close. It's going to just be able to survive barely with really, really good SCV repair. And 1 carrier actually goes down there, too.
Yes, that was a nice little victory for Scan, but there are still 10 carriers on the map. And Bonyth's banked up so much. I'm really surprised he's not just establishing a base in a main.
I think that's what he's about to go do right now by cleaning out that other vulture.
Yeah, the probe's headed up now.
And it looks like actually Scan wants to start pushing out.
Yeah, Scan is making a push for it. I mean, it's the good timing. They're both been maxed for a little bit. upgrades are looking pretty good. Scan's got 2-2, whereas, as you said, the ground army for Bonyth is pretty weak. They have 1 attack at the moment. But if he can keep the Goliaths off of these carriers, he can just basically fight infinite Terran units.
Right. Especially if he does like a giant tech switch into either mostly Dragoons, if he can nab out all these siege tanks, or mostly Zealots if he nabs out most of these Vultures. Looks like he's going straight for the siege tank, so it looks like he's going to try and go for like mass Dragoon behind this. If he doesn't just keep the carriers alive for forever. Which seems to be also his MO.
Yeah, he's queued up carriers still, so anytime he loses any supply, it's just being replaced by carrier.
You know what's really funny? I just noticed. In the beginning of the DeWalt and Bonyth game, they were kind of curious about how you deal with scan. Yep. And somebody said carriers.
Yeah, Bonyth, you're like, I don't really have special tactics. Carriers, I guess?
Oh, looks like he's going to be able to come in here and do a lot of damage yet again. Going to go for the refinery. Going to be able to take that out again. Just forcing scan back, though. That's really the kind of key moment here. Oh, loses a carrier. Has to be really careful here.
Yeah, that was not a great position there. Scan had vision of that high ground and was targeting carriers that were approaching. Oh, a random storm. Okay. We have High Templar on the field. That's actually incredibly strong versus Goliath, so nice choice.
Yeah, these Vultures are being such a pain, though, for Bonyth to deal with. I keep wanting to say
yeah, Scan is staying like remarkably active.
Yes. And you need to, as a Terran, like, when you're blocked into like this, why not just shed Vultures across the map? Because you have so many minerals. He does. He has 4K minerals at this point.
Yeah, and these 4 Vultures might deny this expansion. The Observer is there, so they will finally get cleaned up, but it's actually pretty close. Actually, Bonyth is not really sending the goons in time. I think it's very close to going down. If
oh my god.
Nexus, that's pretty enormous.
Meanwhile, it looks like the carriers are going to go for it again at the command center at the 12 o'clock base, and it looks like no repairs this time. It will fall. The carriers get their worth this time. I think another carrier died in that engagement, though.
Yeah, but the Nexus is worth more than 1 carrier at the moment. Although Scan did get that 1 Nexus with the Vultures.
Right.
So denying that base is also pretty critical.
This is actually allowing Scan to start pushing out across the map again. And again, notice that he's staying away from all those situations and all those places where the carriers can kind of like rally back behind giant up air ridges and all that. Places where Scan can't really...
staying in towards the center.
Yeah. This is kind of how you have to deal with carriers. Avoid the empty airspaces that carriers can really abuse. Coming in here, nailing out a whole bunch of these siege tanks, though.
Yeah, he's just trading interceptors for siege tanks. That's a trade any Protoss will make.
Yes.
There's 13 carriers on the map. So we have the full control group and 1 hanging out at the Stargate. 1 DT is up here. The Scan does go down, so he managed to clear that up, but he's kind of wailing on some tanks there for a little bit.
You know what's really cute is Scan is constantly using his scans in order to figure out where the carriers are going, where the army for Bonyth is. That's what I really liked about that DT, was that it kind of punishes him for using those scans to always see where the Protoss army is. And doing it again, it looks like, yeah, the DT in the middle of the army, taking out just siege tanks. This is so cool.
And Scan's reaction is actually incredibly slow. He don't have any energy at the moment?
I don't think so. I think he's using too many of those scans in order to figure out where the Protoss army is.
Oh, we have a misplaced CC at the 4th for Scan. It is not attached to the scanner.
Oh my god, it's not!
So that's gotta be frustrating. That he should have full energy on.
Ooh, Storm's coming in here. Oh my god, Bonyth making a huge push right now. Those Storms are catching so many Goliaths!
Yeah, that just pushed through everything. I mean, there's no tanks left. Single siege tank on the map. The Goliath count is dwindling, and just the ground army alone can fight these Goliaths, not to mention the 12 carriers.
And this allows him to start just free pushing in on the natural base right now. There's a lot of Goliaths. He's losing a lot of interceptors right now. But being able to wipe out as much as he has, he can now just let the ground army take out this base at the 9 o'clock position.
Yeah, 9 o'clock is doomed for sure. Scan is down to a single mining base at the top, which doesn't have that much, and he's lost most of his army. He's not really going to be able to resupply if these carriers just keep trading.
So many SCVs dying right now. Scan taking a huge amount of losses here. This is actually a really pivotal moment in this game because this locks Scan down to 1 mining base.
Yeah, he's going to get the CC as well, so there's no chance this will ever be retaken. There's a decent amount of Goliaths and turrets here, but I mean, Bonyth can trade interceptors all day. He still banked 4,000.
And he still has 2 mining bases, though Scan has been doing a really good job of just stopping all the other top right and bottom left bases.
Yeah, just a few vultures have shut both of those down multiple times. Yeah. It's actually really impressive. It's the only thing that's keeping him in the game at all. There's a lot of missile turrets at the 12 o'clock, so it's going to be pretty hard to actually break that. But I don't think Bonyth needs to. I mean, he can just keep trading units and then just go through the front.
Oh my god, that's a lot of missile turrets, you're quite right.
But yeah, like, Scan actually can't remax. He just keeps getting traded on, and he's going to run out of money pretty soon. His bank is dwindling, whereas Bonyth is staying at 4,000.
Yeah, mostly max at this point. Still pumping out carriers. There's still 2 more back at the wings. And with the +2 armor plating as well.
He is going in on that missile turret field. Are the missile turrets actually targeting carriers?
No, they can't.
But can't you force them?
I think you can force them, but you'd have to like click each one, and it'd be really awkward.
It looked like they were actually shooting the carriers. I think Scan might have been doing that. Meanwhile, a Nexus actually goes down in the bottom left with 1 vulture. Because Bonyth just doesn't care about expoing anymore.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, you can, it's just it takes like a lot of clicking, a lot of specific micro to do it. You can't group select missile turrets.
And Scan is almost out of money. His bank has dwindled to nothing, and he's not maxed. He's running on this single base, and meanwhile the carrier count has not really decreased. He's been at 12 carriers comfortably.
A bunch of vultures trying to go for the top right-hand base yet again, but this time Bonyth is actually keeping a pretty healthy garrison over there in order to deny that.
But they still got the probe. They're still going to delay it.
Can you imagine you're getting barreled in by like 12 carriers constantly, and yet you still have enough time to actually get your vultures to gets this the command center as it was moving to the 9 o'clock base yet again, and again takes out the refinery.
So Scan is doing some desperation push here. Really good storms over those Goliaths, and I can't see him actually holding off his carriers with this army, and this is all he has. I mean,
yeah,
he's going to be able to produce a little bit more, but the 12 o'clock is going dry.
And that's the really scary moment right now, is if he loses too many Goliaths at this moment, especially because his Goliaths are actually starting to split apart really badly, too.
Yeah, he's kind of rushing to try to do some damage, but he needs to fight the carriers as one collective group, and by running them away, some of them stayed to fight. So the siege tanks will be able to take out this base, it looks like, but I don't think Bonyth minds too much. I mean, if Bonyth doesn't mind a single mineral for the rest of the game, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Especially if he just keeps denying Scan the ability to get any type of minerals as well. It looks like there is going to be a little bit of a push here. Oh my god, nothing but Templar over here.
Yeah, that's not really the best to push the siege tanks with.
Fun fact, Templar are great when they get the storms off, but if they don't get the storms off, then they just kind of die to siege tanks really quickly. Actually, Bonyth taking a lot of losses here.
Yeah, he got the carriers a little too close to those Goliaths in the open, but he's repositioned them, and so he's in a much better situation now. The tanks go down, so this push is pretty much dead. And Scan is essentially mined out. He's floating a command center, another command center over to the 9 o'clock, but it hasn't quite landed yet. And there's almost no way he can hold that. I mean, he has a decent amount of Goliaths, but Bonyth's just going to come crashing in with a maxed army again.
Just as soon as you said he has a decent amount of Goliaths, I click on a screen of nothing but Goliaths. The entire screen was Goliaths. Just as you said that, that was perfect.
His army is Goliaths. But Goliaths don't do very well against anything but carriers, and there's some Zealots and Storm behind this as well.
I mean, not a lot of Zealots, but...
I'm pretty sure the carriers can still beat them alone.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter because he's still forcing all the Zealots in no matter what.
Let's see how good these Storms are. Storm is definitely very good against
Oh my god, that is so much. He got spammed so many Storms that I saw not enough energy.
He got stormed into a pause. And somehow, Scan is actually holding on here. Doing decent amount of damage, but the Goliath number is dwindling. He's down to about half of what he started with.
More importantly, the Interceptor is also dwindling. That's why Bonyth is starting to back up here. He's just losing so many Interceptors, and it takes so long to rebuild them that he just has to give it a couple of seconds before he goes back in again. But Bonyth is actually starting to be starved himself now.
Yeah, so Bonyth's bank definitely decreased. He's finally getting that upper right base established, but the problem is he's still maxed.
Yeah.
So even though he doesn't have the money, Scan doesn't have the money, and he doesn't have the army.
But here comes a resupply of Dragoons, and now this is the perfect call. Dragoons are really good against Goliaths.
Absolutely.
Like, Zealots are pretty good, but Dragoons are just perfect, because Goliaths just do no damage to them, and Dragoons are so tanky.
Yeah, and this is the rest of the Goliath count. This is almost Scan's entire army, and it is dropping quick.
Yeah, now pushed against this wall here as well. I mean, the Vultures are coming in here. They might be able to lay mines. But, ooh, Bonyth doing a really good job here of just backing up perfectly in the right moments to handle these Vultures. And now with the carriers starting to go in for the kill, there's only a handful of Goliaths left here. Python, are we going to see Scan tap out of game number 2 here versus Bonyth?
I think we are. I mean, there's nothing to save this base, and this is the only real mining. He's got a few SCVs going at the min only in the upper right, but there's no way to hold that either. There's no army on the map at all for him.
He's not even going for the CC immediately. He's just going for as many of these SCVs as possible. Does have the top right-hand mineral-only base? Question mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
not
he's
much,
kind of
though.
desperate for something, but
anything.
That's not going to be up for very long.
Yeah, this is a really difficult position here for Scan. It's 71 supply to 193.
It's 5 Goliaths versus almost twice as many, or almost 3 times as many carriers. Good luck.
Typically, you want to have a lot of Goliaths, the amount of carriers your opponent has, but, you know, I guess for Scan, having half the amount of Goliaths to...
he's got good micro.
He does. He has really great micro. It's kept him alive for so long. See, they're saying there's a chance. But at this point, he's just going straight in on the production line of the Goliaths as they come out.
Yeah, I mean, those factories don't have long for the world. All these turrets are going down without doing much, if anything. There's just way too many carriers, and with 7 or 8 goons behind as well, there's just not enough that Scan can do against this.
Scan really just doesn't want a GG here. 48 supply.
Yeah, this is most assuredly over.
But you know what? I'll give Scan that. He got Vultures into the top right-hand base again.
Yeah, he is staying active.
He killed a High Templar.
It's making Bonyth earn it, that's for sure. I mean, there is always the chance that when your opponent thinks the game is over,
there we
makes
go.
A mistake. But when the game is actually over, and a mistake doesn't matter, got some fantasy GG time.
Oh my god! So that was a bit of that took a bit.
That took a bit.
But let's talk about this right now. We're in the finals. It's game number 3 of Bonyth versus Scan.
Yep, for all of the moolah. Well, I guess not all of it. Most of the moolah.
Moolah. Mola? Did you really say mola?
Whatever. It's not a real word.
It's not.
Yeah, Bonyth actually had a really convincing win there. Maybe carriers are the answer to Scan.
I mean, apparently. even getting scouted out and everything. This is...
Yeah, the scout was on a perfect time. The carriers, the first two hadn't even popped yet, but the opening situation with that Zealot harass, I think, just put him in enough of a lead for those carriers to get going without a push actually killing him. Because that one timing push, if it had come like a minute earlier, it could have been pretty deadly.
All right, so last match, gonna be on Demian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not quite expected.
And this is the Scan pick.
This is Scan's pick. So let's get on into the last game. 3, 2, 1, Scan fighting! What? As we get on.
That's a really good Korean fangirl impression.
I know, I've been practicing it for years. Spawning up here at the 11 o'clock position, it is our brown Terran player Scan in the ace match.
And in the right position, the yellow Protoss Bonyth, tied 1-1.
Bonyth, as we were mentioning before, hailing from Poland, Scan from Korea. A hell of a finals that we've gotten so far here, Paisan. I am so excited to see how this ends up.
Well, check out this probe.
Oh no.
If it worked in game 2.
If it don't broke, ain't fix it.
Where is it going to go? Directly into the center of the map? Or is it going to sort of hedge his bets? It is a 3-player map, so if you place it on the left, you're kind of guaranteed to be sort of close.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a scout path too. If Scan goes for the bottom left base with his SCV, he'll see it immediately.
But that's okay, because you still have to deal with the Zealots.
That is okay.
It doesn't really change
will be
that
one
much.
gate or two.
Yeah, that's the curiosity here. One gate.
Look, yeah, just the single gate. So I guess he's just banking on a repeat of game number 2.
I mean,
we'll see if Scan's control is a little better this game.
Yeah, that was the difficulty there in game number 2 was just the control allowed those Zealots to get Scan into such a bad spot.
The gas steal along with it, and Bonyth just being as annoying as possible. And because the Zealot pressure is coming out, there's not going to be Marines that are going to be able to DPS that assimilator down.
Nope.
So that could be a really long gas delay.
That's basically... It's basically giving up that gas for a very, very long time here. And doing a really good amount of harassment on these SCVs as well.
Yeah, this pro is being annoying. And so he saw the gateway and actually opts to get a second bunker, or a second barracks down. So we're going to see 2 barracks play out of Scan.
I actually think that's actually the correct call when you are unable to get the assimilator down, the refinery, as well as you see the gateway.
It makes sense. And yeah, this probe is being as annoying as possible. Actually stealing 8 gas, that's 8 gas he'll never get back.
So Scan is mentioning that he did have lag. Scan, we've mentioned this before. We actually said it last game. We were just like, it seemed like it was a lot of lag for the Marine. Yeah, definitely seems like it's a lot of lag. That first Marine going down here.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, the first Marine is probably the most important one.
Yeah.
See if the second one, everything is a little bit delayed, but I mean, that's part of the problem with an internet tourney across the world.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to go in for the... Ooh. Okay, so now the second Zealot showed up. There's only 2 Marines and a probe here as well. The probe is actually taking a lot of damage. Actually caused the Zealot to not be able to engage those Marines.
Yeah, it looks like the between the 2 barracks is also a spot that the Zealot doesn't quite fit. So, much better defense here from Scan this time. He's up to 3 Marines, although that one almost went down to that single Zealot. He still managed to get a couple of SCV kills during this, but I think he's in slightly better shape. The only difference is that gas steal.
Yeah, the gas steal is, I think, the biggest part here, because that means that the Dragoons are going to be coming out here really quickly than when Scan's going to be able to actually even get a single tank. Still working away on the assimilator is going to allow for the fact that the SCVs have to go in on the assimilator in order to actually just kind of net free SCV kills as well.
Now, will Scan do something crazy and just go like Academy and into Bio, or do you think he's just going to go straight to Factory?
Just straight into Factory. I don't... I've seen Scan go deep 6, but it's not often.
He does do it occasionally, yes. And I think he does some interesting MM and tank pushes.
Yes, that too. I've seen that as well. I haven't seen it work, but I've seen it. Ooh, wow, really cute. Bringing those zealots back around the other side.
Crazy work.
They are really putting work in here.
Oh my gosh. That's really... for one hit, apparently. And the goon is here. So Scan might just die here if he doesn't control this perfectly against this goon.
Yeah, at this point the Dragoon is able to... Oh, I don't know about moving this Dragoon into the middle of so many SCVs, though. Can it glitch its way out of there? That was close.
But there's no factory even started. If this goon doesn't go down, then a second goon shows up, and we'll just kite Marines forever.
Once it gets range, yes. Ooh, I really like this from Scan, putting the SCV to block the Dragoon from escaping.
Yeah, that's a great move. But
that was really cool.
How much damage has already been done? I mean, Protos's tech is so far ahead. He's almost at Robo. There's no factory. The factory is a third done.
Actually, what kind of was a little bit of a mistake there was that Bonyth actually left a single Dragoon in the main base for a very long time.
Yeah, that could have been up there potentially doing GG-worthy pressure.
Yeah.
But Scan has stabilized. He's got a bunker up on the high ground, so he should be able to hold his ramp, and his command center's on the way. It's just, with delayed tech that much, I'm not really sure what's going to happen in the rest of this game.
If you could just walk past this bunker, too.
Bonyth going for a very fast shuttle, which is kind of interesting. Ooh. Is he just going to try to ferry beyond the bunker?
I mean, the factory is going to be a little bit delayed here. You get past the bunker, you might just be able to just kind of shuttle, like, what, 4 zealots in there?
He's going Reaver.
Okay. Actually, this is a great map for Reaver as well. Just because, like, on other maps where you're kind of pushed against the corner, it makes it, like, very difficult to find an area behind the mineral lines. But I don't know if you look a little to the left of the mineral line. Massive amount of areas to just drop Reavers. Especially with a couple of holes in the mineral line as well that those Scarabs can just get through. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and I don't think... I mean, Scan's certainly not going to have turrets up. He might have tanks in a decent position to stop the Reaver from doing much, but I'm sure Bonyth can get a couple of Scarabs up. If there's nothing that really shoots up besides the Marines in the bunker, this could be really, really dangerous for him.
Especially if the Marines actually clump up against the Reaver as well, because then you have 0 things that can shoot up.
That's true. The engineering bay is just finishing. Is he going to pop down some turrets ASAP, or is there going to be enough time for this Reaver to get over there? It's just finished out of the robotics. It's in the shuttle and on the way. I don't see any turrets being built at all. There's one at the natural ramp, but he doesn't need it there. He needs it in the main.
Yeah, this is a very scary moment here. Especially if he even just uses this Reaver just to bust the front, too. He doesn't have to go for the SCVs. It looks like that is what he's opting to do. Picks up that
turret is going to be completed just in time, it looks like. Wow, incredible timing on that missile turret. Perfect. He's going for the Scarab shots anyway. There's a slight hole that the shuttle can hang out in. So Scan knows what's up now. Yeah. He sees that it's Reaver. That means that he hasn't landed his CC yet because he's trying to deal with it. So he's still on one base, whereas Bonyth is just establishing his own natural.
Oh, and because there's no other mineral lines to really, like, mineral walk them to, it actually makes it a lot easier for the Reaver to get shots.
Oh, and he takes out a siege tank with it. This is actually really scary. I'm not sure Scan's going to need so many turrets. The Marines are now there to defend, but that means there's only one in the bunker at the natural. Yeah. There's not a lot of other ground army since it looks like Bonyth is going for Stargate into Fleet Beacon again. So he's just going to try to 2-base carrier after getting a pretty decisive lead in this early game.
Oh, this is so cute. He's waiting for the worker transfer. Oh no, he's just going to go for it. Never mind.
He's just going for it. He does take a siege tank shot, so this Reaver harass is not going to be much longer. Oh, the target on the Reaver is really strong, but all the Marines go down.
And that stops any type of anti-air out here for that. So he can just pick up another Dragoon. Yep, that's what he's doing. That's going to tank both those siege tank shots.
And until there's a missile turret down here, you can just do this all day.
Oh, the SCV transfer!
SCV transferred.
It's too scary though.
For it.
It's too scary.
Instead, he's just gonna go for. That shoots up for the turrets, and there's a limited number of them. Oh, he actually thought that Scan might have targeted. Oh, a really good shot. Takes out a tank and a bunch of SCVs.
Yeah, it's really rough.
SCV count dropping rapidly.
9 kills on that Reaver. This is so close. And I just saw something over Bonyth's base, and I was like, what is that? Oh, it's a barracks.
It's a barracks. Gonna drop it and start producing fire bats and just run into midline. I think he got the full scout on the Stargates, though, with it.
Yes. No, I don't think actually it went up all the way.
He didn't go up that far?
No, I don't think so. Meanwhile,
he is a very far away from having scans. If he doesn't know it's coming, it could just end the game.
Yeah. Man, this is...
He manages to have 35 SCVs to Bonyth's 38, so I mean, that's just pure mechanics there. Bonyth was cutting probes unintentionally, I assume, whereas Scam managed to keep his SCV production up. So even though he took so much damage, he's not that far behind in econ. He's definitely that far behind in tech.
Remember, kids, you're never that far behind.
Not if you know how to press S a lot.
Well, I did just get a $5 donation, by the way, from Mr. Cash Me Outside. Thank you so much for that. Very appreciative to get more and more tips and donations for the StarCraft Brood War tournaments that we're holding. In fact, I might just donate that to, take that money and just donate it to the next prize pool, or this prize pool. This prize pool. Why would I do next? Reaver's still alive.
Yeah, barely. There's a second Reaver. I think he walked over. Did that Reaver literally walk from base? There's only one shuttle and it hasn't gone back.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
It's like a Lord of the Rings journey for that one.
Basically.
So, Python, I wanted to mention this very surprising lack of a certain unit that's great against carriers called Goliaths.
Yeah, there's not that many. Oh, Bonyth finally loses. Was that both Reavers? No, that was just one.
Just one of them. The other one, the hurt one, is actually all the way back with the army.
Well, he's a war hero.
Yeah.
You have to take care of him. Oh, yeah, there's no Goliaths. Is there an armory? There's an armory being built. It's halfway done. But there are 2 carriers on the map, and the 3 and 4 are on the way. So Scan is definitely in a rough position here. I'm guessing he doesn't know about it, so I think that Barracks did not scout it. He does not have scans, so he'll probably find out when 4 carriers show up and start wailing on him. Although Bonyth's sending his first 2 out, which might be a mistake. That might be a little too early.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of those things you really kind of want to catch your opponent off guard with, as opposed to kind of giving them the clue and not caring about it. But at least for now, this might actually allow him to get a couple more moments to get more carriers out before Scan starts pushing in.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of anti-air, so even though it's only 2 carriers, they're able to deal with whatever Scan's got here. It's just, I don't know how much damage they're going to be able to do beyond dealing with the anti-air. I assume Goliaths are being pumped out immediately.
Not targeting down the missile turret either. There we go.
He's getting it now. Actually, he's got a missile turret behind the engineering bay, which is kind of funny.
Oh, that is so cute.
But just by stopping this push at that timing is really rough. Like, that's when Scan needed to be doing some damage, and his carriers completely stop it. The first Goliaths are out, but there's not that many, and there's already 3 carriers almost full in interceptors. 4th one should be joining them pretty soon.
And not only that, but he also doesn't have the extra range on the Goliath attack either, which is very pivotal for handling off these carriers, because Goliath range on the anti-air is actually really, really short. This is a really scary moment here for Scan. Scan's actually not even making any more missile turrets. He doesn't have the money to.
Yeah, he's pretty poor at the moment, although he actually has a lot more SCVs than Bonyth has probes.
There we go. Finally, the anti-air upgrade does come in here. But there's a lot more airspace that Bonyth can abuse with these carriers. This is actually really scary. If these Goliaths get a good engagement here...
Ooh, they're targeting down one carrier. He's almost dead.
He does take out one of the carriers. This is massive.
Yeah, the other one just joined, but he does not have full interceptors yet, so it's really only 2 carriers at the moment that are able to fight. Although, now that the army is just Goliaths, looks like Bonyth wants to come in with his goons, and there's 3 or 4 siege tanks in the back, which will probably do some damage once he gets close enough, but if he trades goons for Goliaths at the moment, this carrier is just going to run away.
Especially if he actually brings that Reaver back and gets a really good shot on those siege tanks in the back.
Yeah, they're not very well positioned.
Also, Bonyth blocked himself in.
Oh, that's embarrassing. And he's opting to kill the gate and not a pylon, which is kind of interesting.
Isn't it funny when the gateway is actually unable to be opened? You'd figure something called a gateway.
Yeah, right? Come on. It's freaking Protoss. Carrier count is now up to 5. So we're getting into that critical mass pretty soon. And Scan's options are a lot more limited this game.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
the third base.
+1. It's on the way. He doesn't have a third base.
And third bases on this one are a lot harder to grab than on the other map.
He's doing a good job with some vulture harass down at Bonyth third. In fact, more vultures headed that way, and there's really not a lot here, so he could potentially kill a lot of probes. I'm really surprised at Bonyth's probe count this game. He's been cutting probes heavily.
I think he's
only at 38.
You probably have to in order to get out as many carriers as he's getting out, as well as interceptors. Interceptors are very pricey when you think about it. 25 minerals each, pretty much constantly producing, so you can actually use your carriers.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some money. He's not keeping it below 50, so he could have been making probes.
Very true. I like this. Pokes in, takes out the missile turrets, just leaves. That forces the Terran to
just
just
kind of... are in the net.
Ooh! Yeah, that's a massive loss there. They're doing a lot of damage. They're taking out a lot of probes.
Yeah, I mean, Scan is staying so active, and Bonyth having so few probes to begin with, Scan is actually in a much more economic position. He's also hitting the third at the same time, so Bonyth is down to about 20 probes. That is not a good position. The only thing he's got are the carriers at the moment.
So it's putting down immediate mines there, too. Very cute. Wow. I would not keep that composure if I was under the carrier, carrier press. Bonyth needs to do a lot more with these carriers. Like it's great that he's taking out all these missile turrets and everything, but at this point, he's really not doing as much damage as I feel like he was able to do last game.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because it actually came earlier and Scan was less prepared for it.
Yeah. But
he seems to have stabilized against it a lot faster. Although if he can deny this third, that's going to be well worth it. And actually, that CC has a long way to float before it's safe. The carriers are headed straight towards it. They might be able to just focus it down.
If they get this, actually, yeah, it's going over a place where it can't even be repaired either. This is huge.
Yeah, it's probably going down. I mean, that's enough carriers there for sure.
Oh yeah.
So that's a big deal. Meanwhile, he's chasing down these dragoons with his army, but he's starting to take damage in his main, and all of the Goliaths are out in the middle of the map.
Yeah, I think Bonyth just realized that there's nothing over here to really defend from these carriers, and he has to run those Goliaths all the way back around.
I don't think Bonyth cares too much about a counterattack. If he can just kill everything that Scan has before Scan kills him.
He takes out the armory as well. This is actually pretty big. If that means that he can't build any Goliaths, I can't see if he has another armory right now.
There's one halfway done at the natural.
Okay, so
but there is a pause on Goliath production.
Still pretty big.
It's very big. He's got the supply depots down, so Scan is currently supply locked. If he runs down now and can defend his third Nexus as well, he'd be in a great position. But it looks like that's going to get targeted down a little too quick.
Oh my god, Python, he took out one of the comsat centers.
Oh, interesting.
He's got DTs to go defend this, I think. He just needs to filter them in.
He's got a couple of DTs. There's still one comsat, though.
Yeah, with 92 energy at that. Nope. 45 energy.
But if he just gets on the factories, I mean, if he kills all of the production, there's no way that what Scan currently has on the map will kill these carriers.
Yeah. However, he's able to siege on the natural mineral line.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of damage. I'm sure Bonyth needs to move quickly here, but there's not enough to defend, really. There's a few Goliaths and a few missile turrets. These factories are almost naked.
Ooh, he just spent his last scan as well. If Bonyth runs in now, no, he takes out both the comsats.
The scanner. Oh my.
And now he's going in with them. Oh my god. Is Bonyth gonna do it?
I mean, that army's dead. Even if it starts running, it's gonna lose so much in the process.
He doesn't have any vultures to mine this up.
This is a crazy game.
That's a really smart play there by Bonyth.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the comsat is now being reconstructed. He had to rebuild the academy and everything. But there's no more tanks. Notice
that he's also taking out all the missile turrets at the natural and running the DTs possibly up there? Well, I thought he was, but now it doesn't look like he's going to.
Yeah, it looks like the DTs are just trying to attack these Goliaths, and that's where they're headed. But Goliath's down the ramp, too. He killed the armory again, so that has to be reproduced. There's 0 production at the moment for Scan.
But Bonyth isn't mining.
Bonyth isn't mining, yeah. If he loses too many interceptors, that might be it, but he's going to kill this DC.
Is he? It was getting repaired. This is so close. Goliath's doing a good amount of damage, but not enough. Not taking out enough carriers here. But all they have to take out at this point is just interceptors and bleed Bonyth dry. Bonyth is out of money.
Yeah, he's long distance mining to his natural. Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going to happen in this game. The Goliath count is pretty low, so he's not really able to kill many interceptors per volley.
Yeah. In fact, there's only 3 left. If he takes out the rest of these Goliaths, this is completely free range of these carriers on the natural.
Yeah, there's another round of Goliaths coming out, but these are going to be able to do so much damage to this natural before they're here. He's focusing SCVs, figures that Scan will repair in time, which is probably a good assumption.
Oh, but there's so many Goliaths that just came back out again. There's still no natural nexus.
The problem is the Goliaths can't really get on the carriers because there's the ramp, and it's only a single round, so they're not actually killing interceptors.
And Scan's out of money too!
0 mining from both players, really. Long distance for Bonyth, and there's
Scan GG's!
Wow. That was the wire.
Oh my god.
That was an incredible game.
Wow, that was crazy.
Killing the scanners off and using DTs to kill those tanks was a stroke of genius.
Absolutely amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Bonyth has just taken first place and Have At You number 5. Scan will be taking second. Third and fourth going out to DeWalt and
Dandy.
Good call. What a set of series we had between everybody in the semifinals and the finals. Really just all the games that we were able to cast today.
Yeah, every game we saw today was incredible.
Wow. That was awesome. Let me take a look at the donations. So we're still at $19. I'm going to take the $5 that I just got donated to me and put it into the prize pool on top of the $200 that I'm going to throw in. So it's going to be about $224 in the prize pool today. I don't want to math on stream, so it's a good amount of money. I think 105 or so for first place, 50 some for second, 30, 40, I don't know. I can't do math. But thank you so much for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sham2. Joining me today was Python. What are your thoughts?
I mean, absolutely incredible tournament. Really appreciate you putting it on. I know the whole community really likes these events. And congrats to all the players who showed up and gave us amazing games. Today I think was probably one of the best Have At Yous I've seen.
Agreed. Definitely one of the best Have At Yous of all time so far. Damn. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a great night. This is all of us. Here at Have At You. And by all of us, I mean just me. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you all later.